Welcome to the Sanctuary Wildlife Photography Awards 2020, held virtually for the first time in 20 years. This pandemic has prevented us from a live in-person interaction with all of you, but there is a silver lining. It's allowed us to reach out to a global audience. Henri Cartier-Bresson said about photography, he said, photography is the simultaneous capture of a recognition in a fraction of a second of the significance of an event. But what it also is an art form that captures a moment and makes it last forever. But it's also the individual perception of the photographer and his or her own personal message. And it's that wonderful combination of making a moment last forever and personal message and individual perception and the magic of photography that we're here to celebrate tonight. My name is Swati Tyagarajan. I'm sitting here on the tip of Africa in Cape Town, and I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to be your host. Very warm welcome to everyone who's on this, is here at this event. As always, Sanctuary's gatherings are a celebration of life, love, and purpose. This evening, while celebrating our love for wildlife photography, Sanctuary is also pursuing its long-term goal to leave a better world for our children and better children for our planet. Sanctuary launched 4 decades ago and has long believed that science, married to a quest for knowledge and deep nature immersion, is the only way for us to live in harmony with our planet. And each of us gathered here has a role to play in that. To tell us more about this event and how we can collectively be part of this great adventure, may I request Bittu Sehgal, founder of the Sanctuary Nature Foundation, to trust us and infuse us with realism and hope. Bittu?
Thank you so much, Swati. As an inspiring journalist and an exuberant human being, you have been part of the Sanctuary mission for over 2 decades now. To all the people watching the event from the safety of your homes, you too are an organic part, an absolutely organic part of Sanctuary's purpose. Now conduct the event online on account of COVID-19, the pandemic, is a message being sent to us by the biosphere. We have actually been mismanaging our beautiful planet, and we will soon discover that nature, while it sends us these warnings, it also gives us solutions, it also gives us hope, and all can be fixed. Every creature and every habitat you see tonight is part of a magical self-healing system that was designed for all life forms to sustain themselves in near perpetuity. But not if we continue to giving those 4 horsemen of the apocalypse free rein to sully our paradise. Ignorance, arrogance, avarice, apathy. We can't let them prevail over us. The images you see this evening are the works of people whose hearts beat to nature's drum. For 4 decades, Sanctuary has married such still images to moving words to sensitize human hearts, waken human minds, and stir people to defend our planet. But before we jump into paradise, may I introduce and thank the 3 friends who have stood by Sanctuary and made our mission their own. Our sponsors, Aditi Kothari Desai, Wildlife Supporter, Executive Vice President of DSP Investment Managers, and board member of Wildlife Conservation Trust. Rupa Satish, Head Corporate and Investment Banking, IndusInd, and our co-sponsor, Mahesh Kohli, President and Joint Managing Director of Greenco, a company that is really helping to fight climate change. So, Aditi, there you are. I tell you something, it is so wonderful. Do you realize how long we've been doing this together, Aditi? Decades have passed by.
Yes, I remember first coming to your awards in 2001, and I've been coming ever since. So it's been really, really long, Bittu, and really happy to see it still going strong after so many years.
Really, Aditi, cannot thank you and Hemendra Bhai enough. You guys have been like rocks for us. You know, Rupa Satish, Head Corporate and Investment Banking. Rupa, you know, our history goes back so many years as well. And thank you very much. I really am grateful because there has never been a moment when there hasn't been A, the support, and B, the involvement.
Bitu, you make us proud. So yes, we have, we've had this partnership between IndusInd Bank and Sanctuary for 10 years now, more than that, and earlier on from other organizations as well. But more power to you, Bitu, and the participants today. I really look forward to, having a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Rupa. And Mahesh Kohli, मैं आपके बारे में President, Joint Managing Director Greenco तो I can say, but the fact is that you are shoulder to shoulder fighting with us and making sure that we live in a greener, happier, more safe world. Mahesh?
Yeah, again, thanks a lot, Bitu, for inviting us to be part of this partnership. And this is the third year for us. And I guess I think this year especially, I think we have great opportunity to put the planet at the center of our universe and all our actions. So I'm really excited to see this awards show today, and continue to see how much we can continue to support.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Rupa, Satish, Mahesh. We have so many proverbial promises to keep, and truly we have to go before we sleep. Look, it's like this. Photographers have actually built sanctuary down the ages. Images helped us to draw people into the world of nature long before those people took even one step into the wild. And the Sanctuary Wildlife Photography Awards were launched to awaken India and the world to the wonders of wild nature. We had a simple thing. If you don't love something, you won't protect it. So to protect creatures great and small is our purpose. But this year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, I cannot tell you how stunned we were. Over 3,000 entries were submitted. And as always, our judges had a really tough time shortlisting the winners. And it was really, I mean, there were arguments, there were fights, there were all kinds of things, all in good cheer and good humor. But every single image that we had meaning, it had force, it had impact. And Swati, would you please introduce the panel of judges to our audience so they know who chose those pictures for us?
Sure, Bitu. I'm absolutely so proud to introduce this jury. It's an amazing jury. They're all wildlifers to the core, and they're all smitten with the magic of wildlife photography. So our judges this year were Steve Winter, globally celebrated National Geographic conservation photographer, Dr. Anish Andharia, conservation biologist, wildlife photographer, and president, Wildlife Conservation Trust, Nayan Kanolkar, educationist, conservation biologist, and wildlife photographer, Prasenjit Yadav, molecular biologist, Himalayan trekker, National Geographic explorer and photographer, Himanshu Seth, acclaimed travel and nature photographer and founder of Himanshu Seth Photo Safaris, Joanna Van Grissen, wildlife photographer, filmmaker, nature tourism professional, Saraya Thoria at the Panna Tiger Reserve, everyone should visit, Dr. Parvish Pandya, director, science, natural history and photography, Sanctuary Asia, Lakshmi Raman, storyteller, executive editor, Sanctuary Asia, Bitu Sehgal, founder and editor of Sanctuary Nature Foundation, and I would say the least gifted photographically, that would be me, yours truly, like the host. And now over to you, Bitu.
Listen, Swati, I'll tell you this, that there's no question of least, but look, before we start looking at the winning entries, I'd like to share the shortlisted images from which our jury selected the winners. Please keep your eyes on your screens because each of you at one point will be asked to vote for the image you like the best. The one that collects the most votes will receive the Sanctuary People's Choice Wildlife Awards. Sayam, shall we get the show on the road? Incidentally, none of the photographers' names will be on the images. None of the judges knew who the photographers were. The images spoke for themselves. So whether judge or whether the public, you can cast an unbiased vote. A tendril moment. It's photographed in all its iridescent splendor. It's a flower chafer beetle. I've never seen one actually. I just saw it here. It's clinging to the tendril of a plant, and the shimmering portrait shot in Bangalore is an ode to the little wonders that hold on to existence in our backyards. But the fact is that these insects hold the key not just to their survival, but to our survival. And that's what we'll discover as the evening goes along. And then we've got ourselves also between a rock and a hard place. From its strategic perch, a snow leopard seems to calculate the risk of hunting a Himalayan ibex that you can see standing at the edge of a precipice. It's an electrifying frame of predator and prey in the snowy paradise, that is the Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh. These snows are very, 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 very threatened. This is what's happening. This is the third pole. And if we are not able to put climate change back into its box where it belongs, its stable box, we would all be in trouble. Incidentally, those of you who didn't notice the snow leopard, here it is. It's there on the right side of your screens. That's what made this photograph, actually, the fact that rock in a hard place. So, next one, silverfish at sunset. You know, it's a magical, magical, magical world, and the photographers that we have are magical too. This is a school of silverside fish that's swimming just before the surface waters of the Malhos Island in the Maldives. Artfully the contrast between the darkening skies and gleaming fish make for a really hypnotic frame, and it's very, very, very interesting that this is where all life began, in the sea. So this is where we're going to have to recover all the losses that we've made of the biosphere. And then we have something called a bird bath. It's a crimson sunbird that finds herself in a spectacular hammam in the unfurled petal of an ornamental banana flower in Cooch Behar, West Bengal. It's such a natural, lovely, lovely natural history moment. You know, I mean, these are the things, even during the pandemic, biodiversity is all around us. And the photographers that we are showcasing today are bringing this biodiversity to you to remind you that it's a beautiful world. The web of life. The web of life. At night in Badlapur in Maharashtra, a photographer stumbled upon a tarantula spider emerging from a home in the rocky terrain, surrounded by her numerous young, which you'll probably be able to see if you're not on a phone. But this is amazing. You know, these are the nocturnal creatures that the whole idea of nocturnal ecology is something else that has yet to be understood by decision makers and all else. A sea of bats. Oh Lord, a colony of greater mouse-tailed bats in Tentoi in Gujarat. This is one of the many widespread species of the bat family whose countless ecosystem services have been dwarfed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which spilled over from bats to pangolins to humans. But remember, David Quammen, one of the finest science writers in the whole world, he explained, and he said, bats, yes, they probably did spread the virus that's killing humans. But remember, we almost certainly spread the fungus that was killing them. So it's human activity at the end of the day that's going to determine the quality of our lives. Battling babblers. In the Ranthambore National Park, while everybody was watching tigers, a spectacular sequence was caught. This is a pair of large gray babblers actually battling for territorial rights, while a third babbler observes from a distance. These are the things to do when you go there to watch tigers, for instance. It's the babblers, it's the langurs, it's the ordinary little things that make you fall in love with nature, even though the tiger is the prime attraction for most. Fireworks. Just look at that. I've tried to do this and I made a total hash of it myself. Even Steve Winter tried to make me understand and I couldn't do it. On a new moon night in the outskirts of Menaguri town in West Bengal, the countryside comes alive with the neon signals of fireflies. Above them, millions of stars traverse our unfathomable galaxy. With a long exposure, the photographer captures the trails of both earthly creatures and heavenly bodies. And then we have Invincible Swarms, a swarm of locusts photographed in Rajasthan's Desert National Park. These short-horned grasshoppers are desert dwellers, but they breed uncontrollably when their habitat remains moist for extended periods of time. At that point, they form huge swarms, consuming all in their path. And look at this ghost protocol. Eyes upturned, wing membrane stretched thin, a fruit bat is momentarily framed by a ring of leaves in Badlapur, Maharashtra. In truth, these are the only flying mammals in the world, and they are our secret agents. They control insect populations, they disperse seeds, bats I'm talking about. They perform jaw-dropping stunts, and they barely get a thank you from humanity. On the other hand, they get a lot of biases. A leap of faith. drawn by the incessant calls of a Malabar giant squirrel, a dozing leopard decides it's time for dinner. Abandoning all thought of rest, it chases the rodent around and round the tree in the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Both mammals really are very comfortable in the trees. And then the leopard reaches out. Priyanka Mitra, anyway, she was one of those over there in the thing. And the squirrel finds itself in the jaws of death. The picture made seconds before the climax of the hunt encapsulates all the drama of the moment without giving away its conclusion. You can see the paws of the leopard are not even on the tree at this moment in time. Smaller than life. A minuscule tree hopper, invisible to the naked eye, finds a comfortable perch on the vibrant wingtip of the largest moth in the world. This is the Atlas moth, and it was taken in the Fansad Wildlife Sanctuary in Roha, Maharashtra. Look, I always tell children when I meet them that we are not just looking to save the tiger, we're looking to save the tick on the back of the tiger. So you get creatures on small creatures as well. It's amazing. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So this was Smaller Than Life and Aurora Blues. This is a crane fly photographed in Mathiran, Maharashtra, captured by a slow shutter speed, its legs a blur of spectral blue waves. Oh Lord, reminiscent of the Aurora Borealis of Northern Lights. You know, the crane fly actually belongs to the family Tipulidae and is an intriguing inhabitant of planet Earth. It's an intriguing little creature. Venomous blur. At the onset of the monsoon in Puducherry, a saw-scaled viper navigates its sandy terrain. The photographer manages to translate the small but lethal reptile's locomotion that is accompanied by a sawing sound emitted by the movement of its scales. That's the way it warns people off. It doesn't really want to bite. And if you notice, it still managed to keep its still pear-shaped head in focus, and the photographer has managed to get that. Amazing. Dive bomber. This I haven't seen for sure. An Indian eagle owl, they're always mobbed by drongos and by other smaller birds. I don't know why they don't just turn around and bite them, but it momentarily turns air carrier as it's mobbed by this audacious black drongo. Whip smart and assertive, the drongo readily attacks in much larger and more fearsome birds that dare enter its airspace. This action portrait, documented in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, is a stunning and amusing study of two very charismatic species. A flurry of wings. We sometimes forget the magic that lives around us, you know. These are thousands of rosy starlings, you know, and it's absolutely amazing that they stream forth in from the spindly boughs of a tree, but like the shoals of a fish, they move about and cause patterns in the sky. This could very well be an image of ash drifting in the wind, ink through fibrous paper, ripples in a river. It's an evocative abstract frame of an astonishingly gregarious species, best left to individual interpretations. Birds at sea. While birdwatching atop the Sindhurot Dam in Vadodara, Gujarat, the photographer saw a flock of blackheaded gulls congregating on the waters of the Mahi River. One gull that took to wing made its appearance relatively close to the photographer, presenting him with a really interesting and contrasting perspective. Long-legged snowman. For all practical purposes, it does look like a long-legged snowman, but what it is it's a little seen thing. It's daddy longlegs in Cooch Behar, West Bengal, has suffered the rare and unfortunate fate of infection by a deadly cordyceps fungus. I hope Parvesh will forgive my spelling, my pronunciation, but that's what it is. Death on the tracks. Quite literally, stopped dead on the tracks. An Indian rock python lies lifeless by the railway line that cuts through the Baksa Tiger Reserve in West Bengal. Every year, conservation photographers send us scores and scores of images, you know, and of species killed by linear alignments. Either they are canals they've drowned, or they are roads that they're killed, or they're power lines in which somebody or the other got electrocuted, elephants particularly. So it's just that people don't seem to understand right now that when we disturb an infrastructure like a forest, and it is an infrastructure, we are causing damage in great ways to the infrastructures we're looking to build themselves. So these creatures were really the maintenance engineers for this wild, wild paradise that all of us want saved. Septic situation. It seems like nothing, just a septic tank. And all that a god had to do was its hind legs just fell into that, and that was it. This was in the Kotagiri town in Nilgiri in Tamil Nadu. You know, Indians share space with animals, including this. By the way, it's the largest wild ox in the world. But such proximity can, and I guess it will, continue to take an even deadlier toll of wild species and ecosystems than timber and poaching syndicates. You know, now it's as serious as that. Neon trails. Light is the language of fireflies. Communicating, taking the form of flickers and patterns, using long exposure and a flash to map a firefly's flight. The photographer captured this breathtaking shot after 3 months of trial and error in Cooch Behar, West Bengal. Turtle time lapse. In the early hours of an April morning, two remarkable events coincide on the Odisha coast in the Rushikulia estuary. One is the mass nesting of olive ridley turtles. It's the largest mass nesting in the entire world. And an ancient seafarer, these turtles, once they're born, they go out into sea and they never come back but they come back to the same beach, but they don't come back, and the males never come back. Only the females come back to dig a hole in the soft sand, lay its eggs and vanish. How the little turtle that you see will leave now, swim around for 15 years or howsoever long it becomes mature, and then comes back to the same beach is a mystery of great, great value to people like us. And we're trying to explain to those who look at beaches and looking to reclaim beaches or putting floodlights on beaches, don't do that. You are going to be disturbing one of the most magical things in the whole world. Enchanted Woods. Truly enchanted. Dryads, sprites, pixies, sylphs, this milky apparition, it brings to mind all manner of enchanted woodland creatures that pepper folklore and mythology. What you really see, though, is the flutter of a moth's wings hovering above a troop of mushrooms in Badlapur, Maharashtra. Lots of pictures from Badlapur for some reason. Incidentally, as I said, we had no idea who the photographers were or anything else. We didn't know, of course, where they were taken. But we always love images that trigger the imagination. And this one certainly it demands an entire fairy tale. As Kara Tejpal always says, fascinated by nature, fascinated by its stories. All things are not always just perfect, you know. While looking out for, this is called ensnared, while looking out for damselflies on the waterbed of the Hiranyakashi River in Amboli, Maharashtra, the photographer happened to come upon an Indian rock python caught in the synthetic fibers of a fishing net. It was randomly discarded. Such nets cause countless deaths in the sea, in the oceans, in our rivers, in our lakes, across the globe. Anyway, the photographer rescued and released the reptile safely. On a wing and a prayer. This is actually what you might say. It's really something that speaks of living and non-living heritage, you know. Those two rules and laws tell us who we are, what we are, where we came from, and possibly where we are going. Our heritage is as important as is any other infrastructure we built. I mean, this was an ancient temple in Hampi, Karnataka. Two Kellogg's leaf-nosed bats, they take wing. 7 remotely connected flashes froze the bats in midair in intense detail and illuminated the incredible architecture of this underground temple. In a year that has been decidedly cruel to our Chiropteran friends, we really chose to marvel at their magnificence. We want to repair their reputation, and we want to focus on the link between their health and our own. It's one health: human health, animal health, domestic and animal health, wild. Well, those were our shortlists. So you can imagine what a tough job we had. Over to you, Swati.
Thank you, Bittu. My goodness, yes, we had such intense debates as the jury. You know, it was such fantastic photographs, and to like shortlist winners was just really, really difficult. So I can only imagine how many hearts broke in Sanctuary when they sort of narrowed down the list. There were over 3,000 entries. I mean, that's magnificent that there's that much love and interest in wildlife photography and wildlife and nature, but 3,000 entries. And the Sanctuary team shortlisted them down to about 75, which then the judges had to sit on, and that took many, many sessions because they were all so beautiful. And I just want to say that as I said earlier, because photography is such a personal expression of a photographer, and it's quite a subjective art, that all the photographs are incredibly beautiful. And the ones that win, just remember, it's a group of people with our own subjective preferences that have chosen it. Personally, to me, I think all these photographs were so amazing. You're all winners. But that's why this year, as Bittu earlier mentioned, Sanctuary has chosen to introduce its first People's Choice Wildlife Photography Awards 2020. So this means you get to choose a winner. So now look carefully at your screens, showing the 10 nominated images from the shortlisted ones shown earlier by Bittu, and he's described them for you. Now click on the link in the chat box to vote for the one image that you like the most. And if you're watching this on Facebook Live, the voting link will be visible in the comments section. You have just about a minute really to vote, and your time starts now, but we're going to give you that time to do it. So as I said, I mean, all of these images, when you really think about what a wildlife photographer does in nature, I mean, hundreds of things could be happening around you. Life is living around you. There's so much beauty and sentience and drama and peace, and there's just so much. So imagine the individual person's eye needs to kind of look around, and it's really what their particular eye sees, feels, imagines, captures, wants to convey. That is caught in a split second. I mean, that's the beauty of it. And the beauty of photography is, as an art form, there's so much you can express. It can be metaphoric, it can be symbolic. There's so much in terms of how you can see a situation or a scenario, but also it's emerged, at least in this last 20 years or so, as one of the best tools we have in conservation. Because if we can go into a place that not everybody can access, if we can bring out from that space an image that shows you the magic and the beauty of that place, then we can capture your imagination. We can tell you a story about that place that didn't exist before. And that story gets you emotional and engaged with what is happening. And hopefully then we can protect the place that that photograph has been taken in. It always reminds me of a story of the Great Bear Rainforest in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. There was an area called Area 851 or something, which was designated as a timber extraction area. 20 years ago, Pacific Ocean Alliance, an organization, renamed that area the Great Bear Rainforest. So not only did the name now conjure up images of massive ocean with rainforest coming down the slope with, you know, whales washing up on the shore and orcas feeding on one side and wolves on the other, it had a very, very special denizen, this forest. They were meant to put a pipeline through this forest for oil, but then photographers went into this place and they took photographs of not just the beauty of the entire forest, but they captured the true magic of that forest, which was the spirit bear, a big white gold grizzly bear. And that photograph of that spirit bear, which was so metaphoric and symbolic of this great bear rainforest, really got so much public attention that they could prevent this oil pipeline from going through. And that right there is where the magic of photography really lies. And I think that so many of the photographs we've seen this year that's come into Sanctuary, so many of them of animals that you and I on a daily basis may not pay attention to. Damselflies, fireflies, daddy longlegs, little moth butterflies, and as Bittu said, the much reviled bat this year, brilliant fruit dispersers, seed dispersers, insect eaters. I mean, they are one of the greatest animals that we have for life on Earth. I mean, without them, we wouldn't have too much pollination. We wouldn't have fruit plants distributed. We would be overrun with insects. I mean, they perform incredible ecosystem services and do not deserve the kind of bad press that they've gotten. It's our kind of stress that we've put on the environment that's caused the problem. So I hope all you people who've been voting for the People's Choice Awards, you've gotten a chance to vote. You can still continue on while we now look at the winners, but do try and do it quickly because we'll be coming soon to the People's Choice Awards. So now it's time to reveal the jury selection of the Sanctuary Wildlife Photography Awards 2020. In my decade spent filming in the wilds, I've been amazed by the sheer beauty of our exquisite planet. And this year's winning images certainly proves that a picture is worth 1,000 words. The third prize for the Sanctuary Wildlife Awards 2020 goes to Priyanka Rahut Mitra for her image, Leap of Death. Drawn by the incessant calls for Malabar giant squirrel, a dozing leopard decides it's time for dinner, abandoning all thoughts of repose. It springs after the rodent, chases it around the tree trunk. And this is in the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Both mammals display the arboreal prowess. Then the leopard reaches out. And that's when Priyanka has chosen to release her shutter and the squirrel finds itself in the jaws of death. And the way this picture has been captured is just in that instant, in that moment before those powerful claws would have sunk into that squirrel. I mean, it's an incredibly dramatic moment. And this is the winner of the third prize. So to congratulate Priyanka on capturing this rare natural history moment, may I request Urvi Piramal, chairperson of the Urvi Ashok Piramal Foundation and ace passionate wildlife photographer herself, to come online, congratulate her and speak with her.
Congratulations, Priyanka.
Thank you so much.
What a thrilling natural history moment you've managed to capture. And it's really, really a fab photograph. And why don't you share with us and tell us how you captured this actually?
First, I would like to thank Sanctuary Foundation and the jury, everybody in Sanctuary Asia for appreciating my work. We were on the safari in Bandipur when we saw this leopard lazing high up on the tree for over an hour, and the squirrel kept on calling. And the leopard was not interested initially, but then it decided to just come down and take a look. And then within a second, the chase began around the tree. And they were both so fleet-footed, on the tree, and they were so fast. And then, as you see the picture, the leopard came from this side, jumped and caught this squirrel. It was a photographer's nightmare, true, but I believe like the leopard hunted down the squirrel not because of hunger. It was more of an act of dominance, because the squirrel kept on teasing her while she was sleeping. And after visiting so many parks for so many years, witnessing a leopard hunt in front of your eyes, and that to a giant squirrel where both predator and prey are so fast and they're so agile, it's something that it's beyond words. And that's all I would like to say. I consider myself extremely fortunate to have witnessed this, observed this moment, and document it. And I just wish to thank everybody.
Thank you. That really is a superb moment to capture and a photographer's love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Over to you, Swati.
For this, for Sanctuary's second prize, we have two joint winners. One of the joint second prize winners is Mosam Ray for his image, Bird Bath. So the droplets fly in the air as a female crimson sunbird. She kind of splashes and frolics in the collected dew in an unfurled banana flower, readying herself for a busy day of nectar pursuit in Cooch Behar, West Bengal. Her delicate body fits perfectly into the curves of the plant as she turns onto her back. This is such a wonderfully joyous picture, and Mosam's there just to really, in that moment, to capture that joy. A wildlife photography veteran, Ray has really outclassed himself with this delightful, delightful natural history documentation of pleasure, happiness, and abandon in the avian natural world. Congratulations, Mosam, and to congratulate him on this feat of photography, I request Aditi Kothari Desai, wildlife supporter, executive vice president of DSP Investment, and the board member of Wildlife Conservation Trust, to join us. Thank you so much for joining us, Aditi.
Thank you, Swati. And congratulations, Mosam. What an incredible picture. I mean, to capture that moment and to see a sunbird like that is something else. How do you feel? How do you feel getting this award?
I am really grateful to Team Sanctuary Asia. I am really happy for this honor.
Great. And, Mosam, we'd love to know much more about this photo. How did you capture it? Where were you? Were you looking for this? Did you happen to see it? How did you get this exact moment? What was this bird thinking, and how did you hide yourself? These guys are pretty shy.
Actually, I never imagined that a bird can bath or swim in a flower petal. So when I saw her doing that, I was really stunned. Then I managed to take a few shots of her very secret moment. Thank you.
Okay. As I said before, we have a joint second prize winner in this category. So the next second prize winner is Sitaram Dinkar Raul for his image Ghost Protocol. Eyes upturned, wing membrane stretched thin, a bat is momentarily framed by a ring of leaves in Badlapur. The play of light yields its wings translucent, revealing the exquisite structure of its modified forelimbs and giving a mother of pearl shine to its rounded ears. With this picture, Sitaram Dinkar Raul allows us to admire the physical poetry of evolution. In the Hollywood blockbuster Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol means that swashbuckling, world-saving secret agents receive no formal acknowledgement or support. In the real world, bats are our secret agents, controlling insect populations, dispersing seeds, performing jaw-dropping stunts, with nary a thanks from humanity. To congratulate him, I ask Aditi Katari Desai again to join us and congratulate Sitaram for this fantastic photograph.
Sitaram, congratulations. How does it feel? I mean, just what a beautiful image. It's something else. It's what every photographer dreams of. It's what everyone wants to put up on their wall. It's like, wow.
थैंक यू मैम. ये एक्चुअली लॉकडाउन का इमेज है. लॉकडाउन में मेरे बिल्डिंग के नीचे ही बहुत सारे बैट्स आते थे फ्रूट खाने के लिए. सो मैंने 15 से 20 दिन उनके साथ बिताए, उनका बिहेवियर स्टडी किया और कोई कैमरा ट्रैप्स वगैरह नहीं यूज किया इसमें. मैं मैन्युअली बैठता था और फ्लैश सेटिंग करके पूरे अंधेरे में पिच डार्क में वहाँ पे प्रेडिक्ट करना पड़ता था कि ये फ्रेम में बैट आएगा ये टाइम पे, और आवाज पे प्रेडिक्शन रहता था पूरा, और वैसे ही मैंने ये इमेज लिया था.
Oh, great. So, congratulations and all the very best कि और भी picture आप ऐसे ले सको, और lockdown has been very fruitful for you.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Thank you.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for. The Sanctuary Asia Wildlife Photographer of the Year 2020 is Pratik Uday Pradhan for his image Aurora Blues. A crane fly alights on a slender twig in Matheran in Maharashtra and begins its signature undulations. In the dark of night, Pratik Pradhan watches this little dancer under the steady beam of a torchlight. He adjusts the shutter speed of his camera and clicks. The crane fly is captured, its body still, its legs a blur of spectral blue waves reminiscent of the aurora borealis or the northern lights. The crane fly, belonging to the family Tipulidae, is an intriguing inhabitant of planet Earth. Its long legs are hollow, its feet can inflate for added buoyancy in the air, it pupates like a butterfly, and though it has wings, it is more inclined to just drift with wind currents. To congratulate the winner, I ask Craig Foster from South Africa, wildlife filmmaker, and also part of the team of the Netflix documentary My Octopus Teacher, to join us.
Well done, Pratik. That's so exciting, such an exciting image. And I just find it wonderful that an insect has won this wonderful Sanctuary Asia Photography Award, an animal that a lot of people have got access to. So very exciting. Well done. And can you tell us more about how you captured this image and the inspiration behind it?
I already had this frame in my mind. I had observed and knew that these insects make such repeated moves. So I decided to use slow shutter for tracing its movement on the camera sensor. As I was alone that evening in the jungle, I'm using 2 tripods, one for my camera and one for the flash. With this photograph, I'm trying to create visuals. I'm trying to create interesting visuals to much neglected and not so attractive subject.
So much emotion in the image and so much emotion in these other prize winners. I was just very moved seeing these images, and the humility of the photographers comes through so strongly, and very powerful work, and just well done, and very, very exciting. Very, very exciting stuff. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much to Bitu, who's been such an inspiration to so many young people, and to all of us here in South Africa. He's just an absolute gem of a human being, and deep, deep thanks for just inspiring so many people over so many years. What a wonderful being. Thank you so much. Well done, Bitu.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us this evening. I've seen you at work in your beautiful little marine garden, your kelp forest. And I can tell you that if there's anybody in this world that I would want to vote as president of the world, it would be you. Saving the oceans, you're saving where life began. Thank you, thank you. And thank you. Congratulations to all the winners, Pratik, Mausam, Sitaram, Priyanka, and all the thousands of photographers who submitted images this year as well. What a tumultuous and uncertain time we're going through. You know, your images brought us much needed joy and hope. It helped end the year on a slightly less dismal note. We look forward to seeing all the wonderful work you'll be doing in the coming years. And guys, by the way, I hope all of you have actually voted. And I hope that the back-end Sanctuary team has got all the results in. It's time to reveal the final award for the day, the Sanctuary People's Choice Wildlife Photography Award 2020. So do we get to see the picture? All right, so there we are. 1 minute. Which is the one that won? Oh my God, it was close, huh? Everything was very, very, very close. The fruit bat, is that the one? Well, there you are. The fruit bat won the People's Choice Award, the one in Badlapur, Maharashtra. Phenomenal, wonderful. Look at that. At least, judges, we can be sure that we never went completely wrong. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's terrific. So now I'll tell you this, that, you know, thanks for voting, and thanks for being such a wonderful audience, and thanks for everything that you guys have been doing. But I'll tell you this, I'll leave it to Swati now. Swati, between you and me, the people that are there listening in on us with us right now, these guys are the key to all the successes. All the fights that we have and all the efforts that we make on all the photographers in the world can do nothing unless the people are with us. Over to you. It's your show.
Thank you, Bitu. Thank you so much, wonderful audience. And as Bitu said, it's really every one of us, you know, every morning when we make up and we make a choice, I think literally the survival of the future of this planet, actually the future of our species, depends on the choices we make. So with that, we now come to the end of the Sanctuary Wildlife Photography Awards Ceremony 2020. Congratulations to all our winners. Congratulations to everyone who submitted photographs. As I said earlier, they were all absolutely brilliant, and it was really agonizing to bring it down to the winners. But I still think that all the images were absolutely brilliant. But congratulations to the winners. All of you are conservation photographers par excellence. And thank you so much for all of the people who participated in voting and choosing a People's Choice Award. And thank you again to our sponsors this evening, the DSP Group, IndusInd Bank, and the Green Co. and event partners, Delhi Bird Foundation. We hope to see all of you again for the Sanctuary Wildlife Service Awards scheduled for January 30th, 2021. These are incredibly important awards because they honor the people who put their boots on the ground, who fight with their heads up and their backs bent, and literally with hardly any support, and they're there day in and day out, and they're fighting to protect our jungles and our national treasure, which is nature. So really don't miss that one. It's the Sanctuary Wildlife Service Awards. That's on January 30th, 2021. And keep an eye out for more details on the Sanctuary Nature Foundation website, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. For those of you who've joined us on Zoom, you're welcome to stay back for casual backstage interaction with our winners. Here's wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and good night.